Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. Today we will be talking about this new poll, this insane new poll from the state of Texas that is, despite it being a Republican primary poll just between Republicans in the Senate primary come 2026, still, it is a crazy good poll for Democrats. And let me explain why. So, again, this is the 2026 Texas Senate race. This is going to be a hotly contested race if Democrats want to somehow take control of the Senate come 2026. This is not my current prediction. Sorry. This is my current prediction. If they want to take control come 2026, Democrats will have to flip Texas. Texas would be an absolutely necessary flip for the Democratic Party. Whoops. And whoever comes out of this Republican primary in Texas as the winner, that will prove to be crucial. In this primary, it is not a typical primary. We have the incumbent senator, John Cornyn, right, running for another term. But he is not MAGA enough for most Republicans, at least Texas Republicans. The Attorney General, the much more radical, the much more far right, Ken Paxton, who has been involved in scandal after scandal after scandal, he is leading the pack. Ken Paxton leads John Cornyn 39% to 36%. Now, it is agreed by everybody Ken Paxton would be a far weaker candidate than John Cornyn. And just look at this polling that we have already. So, Colin Allred is a Democrat who has already announced his candidacy in the Democratic primary. There will probably be more candidates. It looks like James Tallarico, the state rep, will run. It looks like Beto O'Rourke might be staging some sort of comeback. We'll see how that goes. But even against Colin Allred, who of those three, Tallarico, Allred, and O'Rourke, I feel that Allred would be the worst candidate that the Democrats could put up. He is beating Ken Paxton. When you look at the Ken Paxton versus Colin Allred polls, in 3 out of 5 polls conducted, Colin Allred leads a Democrat in the state of Texas. That is absolutely astonishing, considering the fact that Donald Trump won the state of Texas by 14 percentage points in the 2024 election. 14%. In 2020, John Cornyn won this race by 10 points when on that same exact ballot, Trump won by 6. John Cornyn is a strong candidate. He proved that in 2020 he is able to win over independent voters. The fact that he outperformed Donald Trump by 5 or so points just shows how much he is able to outperform, someone more far right than him, like Donald Trump. And this is even apparent in the John Cornyn versus Colin Allred polls that we have. While Ken Paxton loses against Colin Allred in now a majority, 3 out of 5 of these polls, John Cornyn wins the 2 that is against Colin Allred. And just look at these numbers. We can compare these exact same pollsters. Emerson College from August 11th through 12th, sort of recent, about less than a month ago, about 20 days ago. John Cornyn led Colin Allred by, look at this margin, 7 points, 7 percentage points. When you look at the same poll, Emerson College, Ken Paxton is only winning by 5. That's almost within the margin of error. When you look at this YouGov poll with Texas Southern University, John Cornyn leads Colin Allred by 4 points. In this Paxton versus Allred poll, he leads by 2. His margin is cut in half. That is within the margin of error, essentially a toss-up race, when John Cornyn's poll is actually outside of it, a 4-point lead in a margin of error of 2.8%. So essentially, this is crucial. Nominating Ken Paxton as the Republican candidate for 2026 for Texas Senate race, this is crucial for Democrats. I would say right off the bat, John Cornyn is the nominee. Democrats, they could say goodbye to this race. It is off the table. But it is looking like poll after poll after poll shows Ken Paxton ahead. I mean, just look at this polling. It has been a while, or it hasn't been a while, but when you look at all these polls, you will find very few that show John Cornyn in the lead. You had one from August. The Emerson poll actually had John Cornyn up by 1%, 30% to 29%. But Echelon has Paxton up by 5. Texas Southern has him up by 5 as well. Pulse Decision Science, I've never heard of them, probably not too trustworthy, but still, they have him up by look, 19 percentage points. Absolutely incredible. UT Tyler has him up by 10 in May. Stratus Intelligence has him up by 16. I mean, yes, it's getting closer, I guess, but a month or two ago, this was a wrap. I mean, Ken Paxton was guaranteed the nomination, and he's probably in a pretty similar situation. Ken Paxton is where he wants to be, and Democrats essentially are where they want to be in this race, looking at the general election. And I mean, I just want to bring up, I think that James Tallarico, the state rep from Austin, he has been, he's gone pretty viral on social media, gained the attention of Democrats nationwide, not just in Texas. If he is the nominee, I would be willing right now, to put this race as a Democratic leaning race. James Tallarico, as a preacher, as a devout, Christian who would really, I'm sure, make Christianity part of his campaign, compared with someone like Ken Paxton, who has been involved with so many scandals, including a divorce from his wife very recently, a month or two ago, because he cheated on her. That juxtaposition would really be something to watch. And it's, usually the opposite way around, where the Republican runs on their faith, runs on Christianity, and it would be really interesting to see how it plays out with the Democratic nominee, if it were to be James Tallarico running on his faith. I'd be willing to put it right now, tilt Democrat or lean Democrat, Democrat plus one if Tallarico announces his candidacy, and it looks like he is leaning towards it. He has publicly expressed interest, as well as Beto O'Rourke. So this will be one to watch for sure. And again, it is crucial when Democrats, when looking at the 2026 Senate map. This is my current prediction. But I should start off. This is how the Senate is right now. 47 to 43 after the 2024 elections. Democrats have a deficit of 6. So they need 51 seats for a majority in 2026. That will mean they have to pick up 4. So where do you go to? First, you go to North Carolina. Traditional swing state, you have the former governor Roy Cooper running. That will probably flip. You look at Maine next. Maine, a state that voted for Kamala Harris by 7% in the last election. You'd think that they would already have two Democratic senators, but no, one of them is a Republican, Susan Collins. If they nominate Graham Plattner there in Maine, that race is a wrap. That will be the Democrats to lose. Honestly, it doesn't even matter. They can nominate Janet Mills too and she'd win, but please nominate Graham Plattner if you live in Maine. So you got North Carolina, you got Maine. Where else do you look? The next one you look to is going to be Texas. You look at these other states. Florida, no, it's becoming too solidly Republican. Iowa, no, that one always has been Republican. Nebraska, Dan Osborne could get so close, but is he going to do it? Alaska is possible, but still lots of partisanship there in Alaska. No, you look to Texas. It has traditionally in recent years been at least somewhat close. Definitely 2016, Trump won it by 9. Definitely 2020, Trump won it by 6. And then it went far to the right in 2024. But I think in a Senate race, it's absolutely different because this is sort of a race where Democrats could create the perfect storm. And what do I mean by that? Well, there are already major indications that Democrats are going to perform very well in 2026, nationwide, not just Texas. When you look at how special elections have voted so far this election, or this year in 2025, Democrats have outperformed the previous presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, by a staggering average of 13 percentage points. Now, 2018 was a blue wave year, right? Democrats took a big majority in the House, 235 to 200. This is known as a blue wave year. That's the consensus. But when you look at how the 2017 and 2018 special elections voted compared to their previous presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, Democrats only outperformed by 6. That translated to a 9% victory in the House of Representatives popular vote. So what is going to happen now when Democrats are doubling that average overperformance, where it's not a 6-point overperformance, it is a 13-point overperformance on average in these special elections? Are we looking at the House popular vote doubling as well? Are we looking at it being 18 points? Because then you'd have, I mean, what is that? 350 seats, right? Something like that. Maybe not. Maybe like 310, 320 in the House of Representatives if Democrats do in fact win the popular vote by 18. So you've already got a nationwide trend towards the Democratic Party. I think that's undoubtable. Why did that not sound like a word? What? Anyway, undeniable. That's what I was going for. That I'll just stick with that. That is undeniable that Democrats are already going to overperform, especially compared to 2024. But they will have a good night on midterm election night. That is that, and what we know with higher propensity voters now voting for Democrats. 2022 showed us that. 2026 is already going to be a good year for Democrats. But then when you have another factor like this Republican primary going to the weakest Republican possible, Ken Paxton. And then if you were, now I don't know if this will happen, but then if you were to have the Democratic primary go to the strongest candidate essentially possible, like the strongest candidate possible to field in this race, James Tallarico, the state rep from Texas, you have a perfect storm where Democrats are having a good night everywhere, but especially in Texas, they have the best of the best, and Republicans have the worst of the worst. With everything said, they can surmount the Trump plus 14% win in 2024, and they can come back to win Texas by a point or so. Blexus is not out of reach. So, this will be an interesting race. This is a race that I'm very excited to see. Also, just that whole special election thing, a 22-point swing in Iowa a couple days ago in Senate District 1. But this will be one to watch. Texas is going to be quite an interesting race. New poll from Coefficient, B plus rated pollster, not too bad. Has Ken Paxton leading by 3 points, as every single other poll does. Just what Democrats want. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. That helps out a lot. Comment, let me hear what your thoughts are on this topic. Sure to be an interesting race. And drop a like as always, and I will see you all next time.